Hey, my name is Charlie or Charlotte, and this is my blog, Charlie Reads and Reviews. So I'm on a journey to become a published writer, author, and one of the things I need to do is to improve my reading and to improve my writing. I used to be such a prolific reader as a child and was so disappointed to find out in 2015 that I'd averaged 3 books in 1 year, which apparently is the norm for most people, but for me, it was embarrassing. And so I embarked on this journey of doing Goodreads challenges to improve my reading rate. And I now finished 50 books last year. It was a little bit of a push because I think by October, I had from October to December, I had to read 32 books in 3 months, which I did. But I'm definitely wanting to do that better this year. So how I'm going to do it better is I'm going to actually stick to the required reading per month. So my challenge for this year is I'm doing the Goodreads challenge of reading 60 books in 2019, which translates to 5 books a month. I'm way above that right now. I'm on 12 books by the end of Feb, so I'm averaging about 6 books a month. So I'm on a good path. Another challenge that I'm doing to help me with that is I want to read more African authors, Africans that live on the African continent. Last year I read a lot of African diaspora books. And the reason I want to read more Africans on the continent is because I'm an African on the continent. I'm trying to write about Africans on the continent or to reimagine us in some way. And so you write what you read. And then the third challenge that I've given myself is I've joined this challenge called the Year of Asian Reading Challenge, which is started by Vicky Who Reads and a couple of other blogger, authors, book people. And why I decided to join them is because I ended up reading, so I don't have the actual book, I have the sequel to it. I'm going to read this in March. But the first book is Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. This is the sequel, Kingdom of Blazing Phoenix by Julie C. Dow. Just watch one of my other videos. I'll explain to you all about that book, but it just changed my life. And I really enjoy Haruki Murakami. So I was like, I really think I should read a little bit more Asian authors. And so I'm challenging myself. So pretty much the same. I'm going to read 12 books written by African authors on the African continent and 12 books written by Asians. So in this challenge, it just has to be an Asian author. So it can be Asian American or an Asian. So that's part of what is going to count towards my 60 books for this year. But I'm reading much better. Obviously, my reading rate has improved. But what I'm trying to also do is I want to improve my writing. And how I do that is I've got a blog called Charlie Reads and Reviews. And in there, I'm actually going to I'm going to write the reviews about the books. I'm going to keep track of my challenge there as well as on Goodreads. But the reason I also want to do this is I want to force myself to really examine the books critically. Because I've been reading them for entertainment. I've been noticing how they do tones to incorporate into my own writing. But I think if I am a little bit more specific about how I review them, I can learn things that I can incorporate into my writing. So how do I consume my books? I just want to put that out there because some people can find it a little bit contentious. There are 3 mediums that I use to consume books. One is physical books. I'm trying to increase that. That's the 4th challenge. Oh, jokes, I forgot one other thing. So the 4th challenge that I'm doing is I'm trying to read more books. I think last year, 60% of the books that I read were audiobooks. So this year I want to get it to 50% or maybe even 60% of the books that I read are physical. I've got a lot of physical books in my bookshelf. So that won't be too hard. The other challenge that I'm doing is I've joined a book club called Inception Book Club, and it's a really nice book club. I think I like being part of a book club because you get to hear people's perceptions and perspectives they're completely different to yours, and yet you read the same thing. And also I start to read things that I haven't read before. So the first 2 books that they had was Becoming by Michelle Obama. I read that last year, so I didn't reread it. I went to the meeting, but they were very late at starting. I think I waited for 40 minutes and I was like, I'm out. So I left. I went to the second meeting though, and the book that they read was Chinua Achebe's book, Things Fall Apart, which I listened to 2 years before. Then I listened to it again this year. So it's one of the books that I finished in Feb. But there are other books that so yes, it started off with books that I've already read, but there are other books that I haven't. So for example, like this one, Misbehave by Malebo Sepobi, is a book that I might not have considered reading, but I have to read it for the book club. And so that's why I like book clubs. It gets you to, because you have to be accountable, and you can sit there, and if you want to contribute to the conversations in reference to the books, I'm like a little bit of an OCD perfectionist. It's going to force me to read these books. So yeah, so those are my challenges. How am I going to consume? 3 ways. Physical books like this, and then digital books. So my Kindle is kind of damaged. I need to buy myself a new one this year as well. My Kindle's damaged, but I have the Kindle app on my phone as well as on my laptop. So that's where I currently read my Kindle books. But digital books, I will get a Paperwhite this year, inshallah. And audiobooks. So I subscribe to Audible, which is owned by Amazon, as Kindle is. And I am on the plan where you get 2 credits for 350 rands, around about there. I get 2 credits. Now, if you think about how much books cost, this book, it's not even that long. It's like 200 and something pages. Cost me 225 rands at Bargain Books, which is supposed to be cheaper than exclusive books. This book cost me 190 rands. Exclusive books. I don't know, maybe I need to re-examine where I buy books. This book, Complete Persepolis, cost me 543 rands at Book Lounge. Books are expensive in South Africa, and so audio ended up being an affordable way for me to read books, because I pay 350 rands and I get 2 books. But now Audible's even upped their ante. I get access to 2 Audible originals for free as well on my plan. So that's 4 books for the price of 350 rands, which is 50% of the price of this book, which is 2/3 of the price of this book. One book, right? This book, this book's 2/3 of the price of that subscription. I get 2 books, right? Instead of one. But yeah, so that's what this channel is about. It's going to be me just rambling like I am now. I'm going to be reviewing books. I will have, at the beginning of the month, I will say, these are the books that I read the previous month and my ratings of them. I'm using the Halo system, because my name's Charlie. So it doesn't work any differently than in the star rating system. If you get 0 is a book I did not finish. 1 Halo is a book that I finished, and I'll explain why I finished it, but why it got, and 1 Halo. 3 Halos, probably a book that I enjoyed, but there was a big gap in it. 4 Halos is a very good book, but something missing that kind of didn't get it to the next level. And 5 is a book that was absolutely phenomenal, perfect. There's nothing I could say that could make this book any better. All right, so that's my rating system. Very similar also on a system will be used on my blog, which I will link to as well if you want to go read my writing. And all I ask is that you write comments, you engage with me, you tell me about the books that you are reading. If any of the books that I've read, something that you've read or interested in, let me know about it. If there are some books that you would like to suggest for me to try out based on the type of things that I like, fiction books. I will be reading some nonfiction for work related stuff. Like this month I finished Sprint, and I'll get into my reviews. Oh, sorry, I'm still telling you. So how it works is I will be doing, at the end of the month, I'll do a wrap up of, these are the books I read, these are why I like them. The beginning of the month, I'll say, these are the books, but in the same video, I'll also be saying, these are the books that I'm going to read for the next month. In between, I might come in and I might do a review of one of the books, depending on how I feel, or I might do like a special challenge or an update you on my challenge, or just a little bit here and there. But for the most part, just expect to have videos at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month mainly. I'm just going to keep it as simple as that. On my blog, however, I'll be a little bit more consistent. On my blog, what I want to do is every single book, so all 60 of the books or plus that I read, I'm going to actually write a review because I'm trying to encourage my writing. The video stuff is just a little bit fun, and it's also, I think, a means for me to find people to read my blog, and also just to improve on my communication skills in terms of speaking. I'm not very good at speaking really off the cuff, and I waffle too much. So if this is something that interests you, please let me know. Please subscribe. Please go check out my blog. It's also Charlie Reads and Reviews. It's a WordPress free blog until I figure out if it's worth it to pay for the subscription. And none of the stuff that I've mentioned, I do not have an affiliate code to Audible or Amazon or Kindle or any of the book clubs, not the book clubs, the bookstores that I mentioned. If I ever do start making money from them, I will let you know. But at this point in time, this video is just about me ensuring that I reach my reading target, ensuring that I improve on my writing, and just be a little bit more discerning with my reading. Cheers.